Good morning. The Committee on the Budget and Government Operations is called to order pursuant to applicable law and my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19. This meeting is conducted by video conference. We will now have a roll call to establish a quorum. I ask that the aldermen please make sure your microphones are unmuted and note that your yes or present response will be deemed a yes vote.
Is it working?
But this quorum roll call is used as a reference vote for later items.
I can't tell. There, it's starting.
Someone needs to mute. Vice Chair Silverstein,
Present.
Alderman King,
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Hairston,
Present.
Alderman Sawyer, Alderman Mitchell,
Present.
Alderman Harris, Alderman Sadlowski Garza,
Present.
Alderman Thompson,
Present.
Alderman Cardenas, Alderman Quinn, Alderman Moore,
Alderman David Moore is present.
Alderman Curtis, Alderman O'Shea, Alderman Brookins, Alderman Rodriguez,
Here.
Alderman Tabarez, Alderman Scott.
Alderman Tabarez here.
Gotcha. Alderman Scott, Alderman Burnett, Alderman Irvin,
Alderman Irvin is here.
Alderman Taliaferro, Alderman Raboris,
Present.
Alderman Wagisback,
Present.
Alderman Austin,
Here.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa,
Present.
Alderman Villegas, Alderman Mitz,
Present.
Alderman Spizzato,
Nick Sposato is here.
Alderman Napolitano,
Present.
Alderman Riley, Alderman Smith,
Present.
Alderman Tunney, Alderman Kappelman,
Present.
Alderman Osterman,
Present.
Chairman Dell's present. We have a quorum. We have 22 aldermen. We have been informed that there are no public speakers today, so we will move to the items before the committee. I'll begin with the monthly Rule 45 report. Approval of the July 2021 and August 2021 monthly Rule 45 reports for the Committee on Budget and Government Operations. These reports were previously emailed to everyone on Thursday, September 7th. Are there any questions from my colleagues?
Madam Chairman,
Yes?
if there are
Alderman
no
Austin?
objections, I move to pass.
Yes, thank you very much, Alderman Austin. Motion made by Alderman Austin by the affirmative vote of all of the members present for the roll call to determine quorum. We recommend approval. Any objections?
No objections. Can you please add Alderman Burnett to the roll?
Yes, we will. Thank you, Alderman Burnett. Hearing no objections, so ordered.
Chairman, Alderman Tunney is on the call.
Thank you, Alderman Tunney. We have you. I'm going to take items 1 through 5 on the agenda together, which are communications from Mayor Lori E. Lightfoot, reappointing the following to the Chicago Public Library Board for terms effective immediately. Their biographies were previously emailed to everyone on Tuesday, September 7th. Dr. Barbara T. Bowman for a term expiring on June 30th, 2023. Dominique Jordan Turner for a term expiring on June 30th, 2023. Lynn M. Lockwood for a term expiring on June 30th, 2024. Linda Johnson Rice for a term expiring on June 30th, 2024. And Ivy Walker for a term effective expiring on June 30th, 2024. I would like to ask Dr. Barbara Bowman if she'd like to read a statement or address the committee.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Chairman Dowell, Vice Chair Silverstein, and members of the committee. I'm Barbara Bowman, the Irving B. Professor of Child Development and one of the founders and past presidents of the Erickson Institute, a graduate program in child development and social work. My commitment to public service has included membership on the Chicago Public Library Foundation Board, Chief Officer for Early Childhood Education to the Chicago Public Schools, and board member of organizations providing services to this nation's children. During my time on the library board, I've been pleased with the diversity of programs we have initiated to support school achievement, and particularly proud of the commitment we've made to the development of programs for preschool children and their families. I hope you will support my reappointment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Bowman. I'd like to acknowledge Alderman Talia Farrow and Alderman O'Shea have joined us and will be added to the quorum.
Alderman Riley is joined as well, Chairman.
And Alderman Riley, we have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Dominique Turner, would you like to read a statement or address the committee?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Good morning, Chairman Dowell, Vice Chairman Silverstein, and members of the City Council. As you mentioned, I'm Dominique Jordan Turner, a proud resident of the Beverly neighborhood in the 19th Ward. I've had the pleasure of serving our great city through both my civic and professional roles. I've served as a member of the Board of Education. I currently sit on the board of Chicago Public Radio, and I've had the pleasure of sitting on the Chicago Public Library Board since 2017. Over the past 20 years, I've dedicated my career to helping members of marginalized communities get to and through college and then land powerfully in leadership roles across our city. Outside of my daily work, a few accomplishments that I'm most proud of is being selected as an inaugural Obama Fellow and co-authoring a book with my 12-year-old daughter, who is an 8th grader at Lynn Bloom Math and Science Academy. There are two beliefs that bring me to the library board. And the first is that readers are leaders. And the second is that change starts at the grassroots level in each of our communities. And the library system has one of the largest footprints across our great city. And I believe that if we want to see change in our city, the library can and should be at the center of that strategy. Being on the library board reflects both my commitment to our city and to the future leaders in it. I would like to thank you for your consideration of my appointment, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Lynn Lockwood, would you like to read a statement or address the committee?
I would. Thank you, Chairman Dowell and members of the Budget and Government Operations Committee. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Lynn Lockwood, and I come before the committee seeking confirmation for my reappointment to the Chicago Public Library Board. A little bit about myself. My husband and I have lived in the 2nd Ward for over 25 years. We have raised our 3 children in the city we love. I was fortunate, to have worked for the city of Chicago for over a decade under the Daley administration. I worked specifically with Maggie Daley on the creation of then Gallery 37, today known as After School Matters. I'm proud to serve on the advisory board of After School Matters. I currently serve as the vice president for the One Chicago Fund, a nonprofit fund that builds public-private partnerships. My volunteer activities include serving on the board of Steppenwolf Theater. I'm a proud member of the Chicago Architectural Biennial, and I also serve on the board of Children at the Crossroads. I've served for over 9 years on the Chicago Public Library Board in honor of my mom, Frances Lockwood. My mom has instilled in me a love and respect of public libraries. My mom is 90 years young. She's lived in Chicago for over a decade and loves our libraries. My mom is visually impaired and happily enjoys CPL's extensive collection of large print books. We are frequent visitors to the Merlot and Near North branches. Thank you, and I welcome your questions or comments.
Thank you, Ms. Lockwood. Linda Johnson Rice. I know we are joined by Patrick Malloy, Director of Government and Public Affairs from the Chicago Public Library, who I believe will read your statement to the committee. That's what I was told.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Dow. This is written by Linda Johnson Rice. Good morning, Chairman Dow, Vice Chair Silverstein, and members of City Council. My name is Linda Johnson Rice. As a lifelong Chicagoan and CEO of Johnson Publishing Company, the founding company of Ebony and Jet magazines and Fashion Fair Cosmetics, I have been honored to serve as president of the board of Chicago Public Library since March 2012. During the past 9 years, CPL has received notable recognition as a national and international leader in the field. During this period, 30 cities in the nation have replicated CPL's mentor-driven youth programming. From the processes to eliminate overdue fines to adding Sunday hours in libraries across the city and developing the first West Side Regional Library since the 1970s, Chicago Public Library has always worked to democratize access to information, ideas, and resources for communities throughout the city, especially for our most vulnerable Chicagoans. As CPL's 150th year approaches in 2023, I look forward to working with the library board and CPL administration to build on CPL's legacy of innovative service. I'd like to thank you for your time this morning. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Malloy and Ms. Rice. And finally, Ivy Walker, would you like to read a statement or address the committee?
I would. Thank you, Chairman Dow and members of the committee for this opportunity to address you. My name is Ivy Walker, and I come before this committee seeking confirmation for my reappointment to the library board. I'd like to share with you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago in the Austin community. And as a result of my parents' focus on education, I gained a deep love for books that is a part of me to this day. Growing up, the Legler branch was a place in which I spent quite a bit of time. Even now, I can remember some of my first visits there when I was a preschooler. Serving on the library board has enabled me to give back some of what I received as a child. My current library branch is the Harold Washington Library. As my daughter was growing up, we spent lots of time in the children's section there, and I'm proud to say that she too developed a love for books that she has carried into adulthood. In addition to the library board, I sit on the boards of Gateway Foundation and Bottom Line. I am committed to giving back to the youth and all the citizens in our community in multiple ways. I'm eager to continue to serve on the Chicago Public Library Board to help ensure that this truly wonderful resource continues to thrive and to be accessible to all Chicagoans. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. I'd like to acknowledge that we've been joined by Alderman Harris, and we'll add you to the quorum. And we'll start off.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
You're welcome. We'll start off with questions from Alderman Austin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. To the board members, good morning. During our pandemic period, was there anything that you was able to add to the in-home virtual reading for our children while they were at home? Were there any suggestions that you gave to CPS or offered from the library that would assist the children in their studies? Excuse me. All board members.
Alderman Austin, if I could jump in, the Chicago Public Library quickly pivoted to virtual programs very early in the pandemic, and a few of our board members here participated in a very popular program called Live from the Library, which called on notable Chicagoans from all backgrounds to read stories to children. And it was very successful. Getting these notable Chicagoans to come in really drew a lot of families and people who may not have otherwise tuned in. And then really, you know, we actually saw more people participating in this program than we actually typically had walking into the doors of the physical branches.
I think that was a great thing to do. I had a couple of young people that had told me about it. That's the reason why I was asking, that they enjoyed it. So I was wondering how many board members participated in it in order to read back to the children while they were, you know, stuck at home, and to also assist the parents. But for me, Madam Chairman, you have my 100% support of the board members. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Alderman Austin. Alderman Rodriguez, followed by Alderman King.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I couldn't agree more with Chair Austin about the stellar applicants that we have in front of us. They will certainly be receiving my support. I do want to ask the following question, however. How many board members are there on our library board? And how many Latino representatives on the board are there?
Mr. Malloy, can you answer that question?
There are 9. There are 9 board members, and I believe there is 1 Latino representative.
Yeah, and I'm going to make this a recurring theme because I think it needs to be one. We're a city that's now 30% Latino. A plurality, if not a majority at this point, of CPS students are Latinx. And certainly I would state that a lot of library attendees are individuals from the Latino community. And I think, quite frankly, we can do better as a representative body and representing the Latino community. Again, no disparagement of any of the applicants or the individuals on the board or those in front of us today. They'll be receiving my support. However, we got to do more. And to be quite frank, 1 of 9, I mean, what's the explanation for that?
Alderman, I think that we completely agree with your assessment, and it's something that the new commissioner has vowed to address. We have of the 2 new applicants, the 2 new proposed board members today. 1 is Latino, and unfortunately, one of the vacated positions was also a Latino board member. But diversity and representation on the board is something that this commissioner is committed to moving forward. Make sure is more representative of the city's population.
Well, we'll certainly be looking at the next vacancies and any other creative ways to increase this. We know representation matters, and I'll be continuing to harp on that. Thank you for the time, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Rodriguez. Your point is noted. Although I realize that during this week, we have supported and approved a number of Latino appointees in various boards and bodies across the city. But your point on this particular board is noted. Alderman King.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. Just want to underscore my colleague Alderman Rodriguez's point. But it does seem like we have a wonderful group of candidates. So want to commend the mayor for that as well. And I'd be remiss, however, if I didn't underscore and acknowledge my constituent, Dr. Bowman's reappointment. Dr. Bowman is a trailblazer in the field of education, and her acumen for youth is just unheralded. And just her worldly knowledge and local contribution should be underscored. So just want to acknowledge that. I do have an open question to the board members who are present here today. Gun violence is probably the biggest issue that we're facing as a city. How do you feel Chicago Public Libraries can help to that end? Anyone or everyone or?
I can speak to that. I think it's vital that we're open, and I'm thrilled how fast we opened. We were one of the first public library systems in the country to reopen and provide a safe haven for our young people. And we've also extended our hours to many of our branches to Sunday hours, and I think that's vital also.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lockwood. Anyone else? All right, I want to acknowledge Alderman Quinn has joined us and will be counted towards the quorum. Is there a motion to recommend approval of items number 1 through 5 on the agenda by the affirmative vote of all the members present for the roll call to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderman Spizzato.
Alderman Spizzato so moves. Hearing no objection, so ordered. The due pass recommendation of these 5 reappointments will be reported out at the next city council meeting on Thursday, September 14th, Tuesday, September 14th. Thank you. Congratulations to all that are here this morning. I think these are a great set of appointments from Mayor Lightfoot, and I wish you well on the Chicago Public Library Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Now I will take items 6 and 7 on the agenda together, which are communications from Mayor Lori E. Lightfoot appointing the following to the Chicago Public Library Boards for terms effective immediately. Their biographies were also mailed to everyone on September 7th. Michelle T. Boone for a term expiring on June 30th, 2023, and Sandra M. Delgado for a term expiring on June 30th, 2023. Michelle Boone, would you like to read a statement or address the committee? Good to see you here today.
Good to see you as well. Good morning, Chairman Dow, Vice Chair Silverstein, and members of the committee and members of the City Council. My name is Michelle Boone. I'm a resident of the 7th Ward in the beautiful South Shore neighborhood. And good morning to my Alderman Greg Mitchell. As the newly appointed president of the Poetry Foundation, the opportunity to serve on the Chicago Public Library Board offers me an opportunity to connect my professional life with volunteer public service. With more than 20 years of past work experience as a public servant, I know firsthand how important it is to have participation by constituents and stakeholders within the work of public agencies. During my tenure as commissioner for the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, Chicago Public Libraries were a frequent agency and program partner. And this now represents an opportunity for me to continue to connect with and collaborate with CPL in new ways. Prior to that, my work experience at Gallery 37, a legendary job training in the arts program for Chicago youth, illuminated to me the importance and the magic that literature brings to our youth in schools, community centers, and our neighborhood libraries. I'll add that I'm also a former Peace Corps volunteer and served 2.5 years in Chad, Africa. As a long-time, and dare I say, lifelong card-carrying patron of the library system, I know what it means to have access to books at the community level in my neighborhood, as a student, and as an adult interested in lifelong learning. I still fondly remember as a young child, my mother frequently taking me and my younger brother to our local Inglewood branch on West 79th Street. For a period, I repeatedly checked out the same book every week, Madeline. And it was an early introduction for me to France, seen through the eyes of a very young girl. This classic children's book remains a favorite of mine, but I'm happy to report my reading list has since expanded, and I've since visited many, many branches for research, public programs, and accessing the vast collection for casual reading. I come to you today in hopes that I will be approved, as it would be an honor to extend my passion for public service in such a meaningful way. And I'm excited to think about how my current professional position could also help extend the mission of the Chicago Public Libraries using poetry and other classic works of literature to expand audiences. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. I want to acknowledge Alderman Sawyer, who has joined us and will be counted towards the quorum. Ms. Delgado, would you like to make a statement?
Thank you. Yes. Hello, Chairman Dowell, Vice Chairman Silverstein, and members of the committee. My name is Sandra Delgado, and I am a writer, actor, and producer with deep ties to the Chicago theater community, 25 years strong. I write plays for, about, and with the people of Chicago with a focus on Latinx stories. I've most recently served the city of Chicago as part of the Cultural Advisory Council. And I'm one of the 20 women of Chicago Arts and Culture honored in Carrie James Marshall's largest mural ever, Rushmore, on the facade of the Chicago Cultural Center. I've been a regular on the Goodman and Steppenwolf stages, but I'm perhaps best known for my play, La Habana Madrid, which was a deep dive into our city's underknown Caribbean Latinx history. My latest play, The Boys and the Nuns, developed at Loyola University when I was their artist in residence last year, is about the fight for LGBTQ rights in 1980 Chicago and how a group of Catholic sisters became a part of that movement. So I love Chicago and I love our history. I'm here because the Chicago Public Library has been a part of my life since I learned to read. My family's from Colombia. English is my second language. And I so clearly remember 7-year-old me walking into the Merlot branch in Lakeview with my papi to get my first library card, where a whole new world was opened up to me. And I checked out my first Chronicles of Narnia book. Books have been incredible friends to me and a major reason that I've dedicated my life to sharing stories as a writer and an actor. I was lucky enough to participate in the Live from the Library program earlier this year, where I read books in both English and Spanish. I live in Portage Park in the 38th Ward now, Alderman Sposato, and we're just a couple blocks away from the Austin Irving branch, and the library has been an absolute lifeline for my 13-year-old daughter during the pandemic. I'm here because I believe in the power of this institution, because I want every Chicagoan, especially those in underserved communities, most especially our children and our elders, to take advantage of everything our libraries have to offer. I'm ready to serve, and I thank you for considering my appointment to the Chicago Public Library Board, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Delgado. We're also joined by non-members Alderman LaSpada, Alderman Cardona, and Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez. We'll begin with questionings from your own Alderman, Ms. Delgado, Alderman Sposato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Delgado, look forward to meeting you. Glad to know one of my constituents is making one of these boards. I was just weighing in to praise Ms. Boone, as many of us know her and loved her for the great work she did in a special event. So we're happy to see her aboard, and just look forward to meeting you one day, Ms. Delgado. Maybe we can sit down and chat one day. So congratulations to both of you. I know you'll both do an awesome job. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Moore, followed by Alderman Austin.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of questions from Ms. Boone. You being, I think you said a poet. I know Illinois has a Illinois Poet Laureate. Have we thought about doing that for Chicago and having a Chicago Poet Laureate?
I'm not a poet. I am the president of the Poetry Foundation, recently appointed this past May. As far as I know, states do have poet laureate programs across the country. I don't know if the city has its own poet laureate, but I love the idea and would love to talk to the mayor or anyone else about how to make that happen.
Yes, I want to work with you on that. So I definitely want to get your information. If you can provide your contact information through the chair so that we can sit down and talk about that. Also, on that same note, right now, when I see a lot of young people, and I think Alderman Sophia King talked about, how the library can help with violence. What I do see is a lot of young people involved in poetry speaking, poetry competition. To my knowledge, the city of Chicago doesn't have its own big poetry like competition or awards, do they? At least if so, I've somehow missed it. What do you know about that?
There are a number of literary organizations that host poetry programs for youth. The one that's probably the most infamous one is the Louder Than a Bomb competition, which is not just limited to Chicago, but Chicagoland. They have an annual performance competition. Throughout the school year, students after school are engaged in poetry, writing their own poetry, having competitions within their school districts, and then the finalists all compete. And in the past, this event has been held at the Auditorium Theater. There's a documentary film that kind of captures the magic of this program. But in addition to that, there are a number of other, After School Matters has poetry programs, but there are a number of organizations that have their own competitions and engagement opportunities for youth with poetry.
Okay, yeah, so when we talk, I sort of want to make that we're working with cultural affairs or whether it's the library, let's do something possibly on a larger scale and recognizing or doing some type of awards. I think it could be a huge thing for the city of Chicago and in our poet community.
Yeah, and I'll just add, even back when I was a commissioner, we collaborated under Cultural Affairs and Special Events. We actually worked with Chance the Rapper before he became Chance the Rapper, who hosted several after-school programs in Claudia Cassidy Theater. So I'm sure DCASE would be very interested and open to expanding that model into something today.
All right, I look forward to getting your information and reaching out to you about that.
Sure thing, Alderman, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman Moore. Alderman Austin, followed by Alderman Burnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Boone, and that's what I was going to bring up, the Chance the Rapper. Wouldn't be Chance the Rapper if it wasn't for you, because you're the one that made him known with so many programs that you started with him. And I still appreciate you for that. I miss you being our commissioner because you were one of the best, but we're glad to have you on as on the library board. We know it will be, very exciting. It will be Commissioner Delgado. You're treading in my lane now on the Chronicles of Narnia. I love all of the movies and the books. They've been such an inspiration for me to read to my granddaughters who love them as well. I got a lot of granddaughters. And I'm glad that they have picked up on those kind of books as well. I have one now who is so stuck to Frozen till I can't buy her enough of Frozen. But it is inspirational for them. I'm glad to know that I have or know commissioners that put themselves into their work at the library. But my question is for all of you all, how many of you all visit a library?
I do. It really is. It's around the corner from my house. And actually, as a playwright, as I mentioned, I love history. And so a lot of my playwriting process is research. And so I go to the Harold Washington branch all the time for research purposes. So definitely.
Real good, real good. Well, I would like to invite any and all out to the West Pullman Library. I think that our librarians would love to see some of the board members come to their libraries, see what a job that they are doing, so that it's not in vain that they're just working, not to any end, but to see some of the board members that come out to the libraries where not in their own neighborhoods, but in other neighborhoods is why I'm inviting you out to ours on the far south side of Pullman. And I know a lot of times with Alderman O'Shea at Kennedy has a lot of activities, and my students, they participate over there. So, but I think that at West Pullman, no, we ain't got a West on it, it's just Pullman. I would like to see that, that at some time that our librarian would let me know that you all have visited Pullman Library. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Austin. Alderman Burnett? Alderman Burnett, your hand is up.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Chairman. I just want to, I'd be remiss if I did not commend the mayor on this appointment. I've had the opportunity to work with Michelle Boone for many years. When she was an employee at the Office of Special Events to becoming the commissioner of special events. I think this is a great addition. I know she has a lot of unique ideas, but also she has a lot of resources that she can bring to the library system. So I think this is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you, Alderman. Good to see you again.
Good seeing you too.
Thank you, Alderman Burnett. I too, Ms. Boone, want to add my acknowledgement of your appointment. I think this is a great appointment that the mayor is really using your talents, and I know you're going to add value to the board. So congratulations. So is there a motion to recommend approval of items number 6 and 7 on the agenda by the affirmative vote of all the
Riley,
members
so
present?
moved.
Alderman Riley so moves. Hearing
And everybody seconds.
any objections? Hearing no objections, so ordered. The do pass recommendation for these two stellar appointments will be reported out at the next city council meeting on Tuesday, September 14th. Congratulations. We will move on to item number 8, which is a direct introduction. It is an ordinance authorizing the Department of Assets, Information and Services to extend a rental agreement with the Hotel Julian. The Hotel Julian is located in the 42nd Ward. This is a direct introduction. The ordinance will be explained by Maura McCauley from the Department of Family and Support Services. We also have Jonathan Ernst and from DFSS and Stephen Stoltz from AIS available to answer any questions. Ms. McCauley.
Good morning, Chairman Dowell, Vice Chairman Silverstein, and members of the Budget Committee. I'm Maura McCauley, and I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Homeless and Domestic Violence Programs at DFSS. DFSS and AIS seek approval to extend the contract with Hotel Julian, which is serving as a decompression shelter for single men experiencing homelessness. DFSS and AIS entered into an agreement with the Hotel Julian on February 24th, 2021. The term of this agreement ended on August 29th when AIS contract authority and the initial agreement expired. DFSS, following CDPH guidance, worked through the summer to support our shelter system in returning to normal and bringing beds safely back to the system as the city reopened. However, some of our large congregate shelters are unable to bring all of their beds back to pre-COVID capacity and still implement the public health guidance, leaving our shelter system at full capacity and with a gap in beds. There are 29 men currently staying at the Hotel Julian, and due to the Delta variant and the latest positivity rates, we do need to continue to operate a version of alternate shelters. The availability of FEMA funds was extended by the federal government in late August, and the Delta variant's impact on hotel bookings resulted in the hotel offering an extension into the fall. Accordingly, we are here before you today seeking authority to enter into an extended agreement for September with the option of 2 30-day extensions. We are leasing 175 rooms for this period, and we will continue to target placement of men who are at higher risk for COVID-19, meaning older and with health vulnerabilities at this location. Looking ahead to November as the contract term ends, DFSS will continue to work on the next phase of alternate shelter options to continue supporting temporary beds through the winter. DFSS is also working with the Expedited Housing Initiative to connect residents of the hotel to permanent housing options. For those who do not obtain housing through EHI, we will make placements back to shelters as beds become available leading up to the end of the contract. Thank you for your consideration of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Ms. McCauley, I don't know if there are other questions yet. You mentioned there's 175 room capacity at the Hotel Julian. Do you anticipate with the extension that you'll be at full occupancy, or, I mean, is that the potential?
Yeah, that's the potential. We will, if this extension is approved, we would increase the capacity close to 175, balancing out the need to then make those transitions. But we do have people in need of shelter.
Okay. Alderman Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple questions. So the extension for this period of time, the cost of that is roughly $300,000. Right? Is that correct?
I can answer that, Alderman. Jonathan Ernst, I'm the first deputy here at the FSS. It is, we are charged by the day, so it's roughly monthly. The cost will be between $520,000 and $540,000, depending on the number of days in the month.
And so this was originally for COVID related. I'm just looking where the Hotel Julian. Do we require that the occupants be vaccinated?
We do not require vaccination, but we do partner with Heartland Alliance Health, who are on site weekly offering vaccinations.
And do we know what percentage of the residents are being vaccinated?
We've had a pretty strong uptake in the shelter system overall. I don't have the specific information for Hotel Julian.
We keep that data?
CDPH keeps that data.
Okay.
So we can provide more information through the chair if that's helpful.
That would be helpful. I mean, and then the 175 beds, the rooms that are there, these are all single rooms?
Yes.
How many of those, how often is that turning over? Is it the same 175 people, or is it every 3 days or a week, or what is it?
Yeah, the turnover varies. As I mentioned, we're actively working on housing options. We housed 124 men from Hotel Julian through the Expedited Housing Initiative into permanent housing. So as people move out, and some people leave on their own to go to, they check out. So there is turnover. And I would say the length of stay varies. We had some people who were there, from the beginning, and others who stay, a few weeks and then move on.
And the moving on, though, is most important. It's tracking that we're providing, or they are moving toward more permanent housing. They're not just leaving.
That's our goal, right? That's our goal.
And so we track that as well?
Yes, we do.
And then do we also track how many of these 175 have some type of mental illness or medication needs or things like that?
At a general level, that's based on self-report on our intake forms. But again, we are partnering with CDPH to ensure that all of our shelters have a shelter-based medical team. The medical teams are beginning to track, they're basically setting up our tracking for things like behavioral health and primary care needs in our shelter system.
So at this hotel, there is a medical team, mental health, they're available.
Yes.
Okay. And then last question is, how big is the hotel? Is the whole, do we take over the whole hotel? Maybe Jonathan, that could be your question.
Sure, Alderman. 218 total rooms, which at one point in time we were occupying. We dropped down to the 175 just based on demand and trying to be, fiscally prudent.
And so we're going to spend about $500,000 for this next, how many months? 3 months?
$500,000 up per month for, we're asking for a 3-month extension here. It would be paid through FEMA.
And have we looked at acquiring this hotel?
No, this is a very popular, successful hotel downtown that, outside of the current conditions, they're successful. They are not looking to sell.
It would be nice to spend that $500,000 a month on a more permanent basis. But okay, thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jonathan. You had
more could speak a little bit more on. Those are ideas we are looking at, considering for other locations.
Yeah, we are definitely interested in, what is happening nationally with communities acquiring hotels and motels, using them for a temporary purpose during the pandemic, and then eventually developing them into permanent housing down the road. So that's something that we're working with the Department of Housing on in terms of conceptualizing and getting it moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to buy the bricks and mortar, then you have to also have the operations, the maintenance and care for and then the medical side. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Thompson. Good questions there. Ms. McCauley, the 124 men in permanent housing, I'm aware of your program to move people into permanent housing. How many of them are sticking in permanent housing? What's the retention rate? And do you provide wraparound services to those 124 men?
Yeah, so overall, the Expedited Housing Initiative has actually housed about 1,100 people since October. I could get the exact retention rate to you, but it has been pretty significant. I would say, yeah, I don't want to guess, but we've had a strong retention rate, and we do provide wraparound services.
Okay, I'd be interested in knowing what that number is.
Yeah.
And then finally, before we go to Alderman Laspada, are there house rules at the Hotel Julian?
Absolutely.
Can you give me an example of what some of them might be?
Yep. So there's a curfew, and there's no weapons, no drug use. We talk a lot about being good neighbors. We've done that at all of our alternate shelter facilities. The staff really work with the residents to remind people that they're living in a community, when they're going outside, to be respectful, not to loiter around the facility. The staff also, they have timed, scheduled smoke breaks so that people are outside at scheduled times.
You provide them with dinner?
Yep, meals are provided by the hotel, 3 meals a day.
Okay.
There's a laundry service and housekeeping.
All right, thank you. Alderman Laspada.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman. I'm glad to see that we're doing this. It was a really great initiative last year. I had 2 questions. Could you tell me, just so I understand it fully when we vote, what is the that our room nights come out of, that the contract is funded through?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
It broke up on a little bit on my end. I missed a few of the key words there.
That's my Wi-Fi, Jonathan. Sorry, we're working with DAS. What is the funding source that our contract with the Hotel Julian is funded through?
We are funding it with FEMA, which recently got extended, which is why we are sort of just coming to you now rather quickly, because FEMA was just extended in late August.
That's great to know. What's the time it was extended to?
I believe it was extended through the end of the year. Is that correct, Maura?
Yep.
Okay, that's phenomenal. That's actually great to hear. Second question, what has our occupancy rate look like for our room block? Are we meeting our expectations? I know that was kind of an issue in 2020.
Our occupancy, so for the first term of the contract, as Jonathan mentioned, we have all 218 rooms, and our occupancy rate, we were using those rooms really consistently. At the beginning of July, when we were planning to ramp down this contract, we started focusing on really helping people with their transitions out. So we started ramping down. So that's why you see the number is low right now. But as soon as we start opening intakes again, we will be back up to the utilization of the rooms.
What is the number right now?
Right now we have 29 men.
29 out of how many rooms in the room block?
175.
Okay. And how long do you, I mean, I am only asking for my understanding. How long do you think it's going to take us to wrap back up to something approaching full occupancy of the room block? Because my understanding with hotels is we're paying by the room night, whether the room is occupied or not. Or do
Yeah.
I misunderstand? Okay, so how long do you think
Spotty,
it'll
you're
take us
breaking
to
up.
ramp up to? I'm gonna take it next time on my phone. The next time, the question was, how long do you think it'll take us to get close to full occupancy as we start ramping up?
Well, there's a combination of things we'll need to add. We'll need to bring more staff on, and open intake, and we do that really intentionally. So I would think within the next several weeks, within a month, we'll be incrementally going up to the capacity.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Alderman Laspada. Hearing no more questions, is there a motion to recommend approval of item number 8 on the agenda by the affirmative vote of all the members present for the roll call to determine quorum? No one wants to recommend.
Motion by
approval?
Tunney.
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Tunney, so moves. Any objections? Hearing no objections, so ordered. The due pass recommendation will be reported out at our council meeting on September 14th. Our last item on the agenda is an ordinance concerning an amendment to the annual appropriation ordinance year 2021 within Fund 925 for the Department of Planning and Development. Can I get a motion to accept the substitute ordinance by the affirmative vote of all the members present for the roll call to determine quorum?
So
move, Alderman Kappelman.
Alderman Austin.
Alderman Austin moves to accept the substitute ordinance. Hearing no objection, so ordered. The substitute ordinance is now before the committee and will be explained by Deputy Budget Director Latoya Vaughn from the Office of Budget and Management. Department representatives are also available to answer questions. Please note that the substitute ordinance adds funding for various grants under the Office of the Mayor, the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, the Department of Public Health, the Office of Public Safety Administration, the Department of Planning and Development, the Department of Police, the Office of Emergency Management and Communications, the Department of Fire, and the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. Ms. Vaughn.
Good morning, Chairman Dow, Vice Chair, and the members and non-members of the committee. I'm Latoya Vaughn, the Deputy Budget Director for grants within the Office of Budget and Management. I'm here to present various ordinance amendments for various grant programs, beginning with the Department of Cultural Affairs, who is receiving new grant funds in the amount of $350,000 from the Millennium Park Foundation for the Millennium Park Winter Programming Fund. Funding will be used to support programs and services within Millennium Park for enhanced winter decor, enhanced autumn and winter performances in Winter Artist Market, and in the Enchanted Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony. The Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events is also requesting to accept new federal grant funds in the amount of $1,211,000 from the U.S. Department of Small Business for the Shuttered Venues Program. This grant provides emergency assistance for eligible venues affected by COVID-19, specifically to provide relief for financial losses and operating expenses incurred at the Chicago Cultural Center during the following dates, January 1st, 2021 through July 13th, 2022. These funds are restricted for use and cannot be re-granted to external agencies. However, the U.S. Department of Small Business directly granted funds to various organizations separately, and we provided a list of those agencies by zip code. DCASE can only use these funds for investments at the Chicago Cultural Center, specifically for investments in exhibits at the Chicago Cultural Center and to improve visitor experience for the public, as well as infrastructure improvements at the Claudia Cassidy Theater located within the Cultural Center. The Department of Public Health is requesting new federal pass-through and state funds in the amount of $975,000 from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services through the Illinois Department of Human Services for the Chicago Family Connects program. This program provides support and referral services for families with newborns to bridge the gap between parents and community resources. Participation in the services are offered to families during a pilot after delivery at pilot hospitals, which are located at Humboldt Park Health, U of C Chicago Medicine, Rush University Medical Center, and Mount Sinai, with the potential to reach about 5,400 families a year. A public health nurse performs 1 to 3 visits in the home or via telehealth if preferred during COVID within 3 weeks of the birth of the baby. The next program is going to be for the UASI, which is the Urban Area Security Initiative Program. We are requesting to reallocate funding across various public safety departments. The funding is for $41,016,000. The source of funds are from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security through the Illinois Emergency Management Agency for the Urban Area Security Initiative Program. This program provides financial assistance to address the unique planning, equipment, training, and exercises needs for high threat, high density urban areas. The City of Chicago received this terrorism preparedness funding since 2003, and this grant helps to build and enhance sustainable capacity to prevent, respond to, and recover from threats or acts of terrorism. UASI funding is shared between OMC, the Chicago Police Department, the Chicago Fire Department, and the Department of Information and Technology. The city was awarded the $41 million for fiscal year 20. This reallocation of funding is used within the UASI projects that were funded from 2020. These are already approved projects from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the UASI grant allows for reprogramming between the departments when the need presents itself. This reprogramming does not affect the total award of the grant. The funding allocations are as follows. AIS received $5,780,000, of which we're not reallocating any of those funds. The Office of Public Safety Administration received initially appropriated $17,994,000, and we are increasing that by $100,753, bringing the total appropriation to $18,094,753. The Chicago Police Department originally had an appropriation of $8,080,000, and we are adjusting that appropriation down by $2,350,702, for a total appropriation of $5,729,298. The Office of Emergency Management and Communications originally received an appropriation of $2,359,000. We are adjusting that appropriation down by $249,200. The total appropriation is now going to be $2,109,800. The Chicago Fire Department initially received $6,803,000. We are increasing that appropriation by $2,499,149 for a total appropriation of $9,302,149. The total appropriation bottom line is still at $41,016,000. The Office of Public Safety Administration is adjusting their appropriation up by $100,753. This increase will be used for public safety administration technology, which includes cameras, radios, and cybersecurity. General funding under this department supports administration and salaries for the general management of the program and for information technology. The Department of Police is requesting to reduce their appropriation by $2,350,702. Funding under this department supports the sustainment of special response teams, including bomb, SWAT, intelligence, and vaporwave, security, hardening, and specialized trainings. The Office of Emergency Management and Communication is requesting to reduce their appropriation by $249,200. Funds under this department supports various terrorism preparedness and response activities. General fund supports salaries and planning, continuity of operations platform for the city, Safe Chicago program, and tourniquets and training in the city buildings in the event of mass casualties. Whole marketing locations, which include signs at the lake, CERT volunteer programs, whole community regional conference, and portable vehicle barriers to protect against vulnerable vehicular terrorism. The Chicago Fire Department is requesting an additional reallocation in the increased in the amount of $2,499,149. Funds under this department include support for equipment, sustainment, and training for a special operations team and simulations that includes mobile simulation labs. Funding for AIS includes the City of Chicago Cybersecurity Program. The Office of Emergency Management and Communications is requesting to accept additional state funds in the amount of $213,000 from the Illinois Emergency Management Agency for the Preparedness and Response Grant Program. The Preparedness and Response Grant Program helps to enhance statewide emergency preparedness and response. All awarded projects were based on risk-driven capabilities, capability-based strategic plans that outlines high priority needs relating to terrorism preparedness. Funding will support the City of Chicago's public safety agencies, including OEMC, the Chicago Police Department, and the Chicago Fire Department, and include the following projects: OEMC's response equipment for emergency management personnel at crowded spaces and special events, and radio broadcasting ads for emergency preparedness messaging. The Chicago Police Department will purchase vehicles to transport personnel and equipment to various locations, and the Chicago Fire Department will purchase personal protective equipment, protective boots, and parts of standard firefighter gear. The Chicago Fire Department is requesting additional state funds in the amount of $80,000 from the Office of the State Fire Marshal for the Fire Training and Improvement Grant. The Office of the State Fire Marshal provides training for operational expenses of the Chicago Fire Department training program to support the training of Chicago firefighters. Training includes books, online test codes, and medical supplies for the EMT portion of the training, and consumable supplies like lumber and plywood used for burning and chopping of the simulations of real-life fire incident. Other annual expenses include specialized training for CFD helicopter pilots, repair and replacement of property or equipment being used during the trainings, and general office supplies. The Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection is requesting to accept and to reallocate new private grant funds from the Chicago Community Trust for the Small Business Resiliency Program in the amount of $900,000. The proposed funding will help the BACP regional business hubs to enhance the delivery of licensing and related services to renew and establish small businesses, especially in low-income communities on the west and south sides of Chicago, impacted people of color, and people with limited English proficiency, and other entities in need of assistance. These funds will be redistributed to the Department of Planning and Development for the administrative management of the program. No new positions will be supported with these grant funds. DPD's existing staff will support the program. The funding will enable interior renovations that support each business center's role as a resource for small business. The bulk of the work will involve modest yet effective renovations involving interior finishes that will create a more professional business workspace. The Department of Planning and Development will receive that $900,000, and they will contract with the Chicago Business Centers to provide various renovations to allow for the transformations of existing community hubs to better serve their neighborhood small business community. In each of the locations, there will be renovations that will allow for new interior office furnishings, interior finishes, and the celebration of local artists through murals. Buildings may have upgrades to the code building infrastructure to make the space more functional and more comfortable. We provided a short list of agencies that will receive the assistance. That includes the Allies for Community Business, Austin African American Business Network Association, Calumet Area Industrial Commission, Greater Southwest Development Corporation, North River Commission, and Puerto Rican Cultural Center, Quad Community Development Center, and Uptown United. This concludes the ordinance amendments, and we're open for any questions that you may have. The ordinance amendments total $3,729,000.
Okay, I have one question for the Department of Cultural Affairs. Those organizations that receive the shuttered venue grants in zip code 60653, I'd like to know who those are and who makes up those LLCs.
Yes, Alderman. Gabriel Godwin, Deputy Commissioner.
Through the chair.
Oh, absolutely.
Now we'll go to questions from members of the committee. Alderman Taliaferro.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions, just a very brief comment. Just to say I support the grant, particularly as it affects AAA BNA, which is a West Side organization. And just want to say about the great work that they do, and on the West Side of Chicago, not only from a cultural perspective, but from a economic development, a community development perspective as well. So I completely support this grant here, and I look forward to the great works that AAA BNA will continue to do in the 29th Ward and on the West Side of Chicago. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Alderman Taliaferro. Alderman Thompson, followed by Alderman Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple questions. So the first reallocation here for the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, $350,000 to enhance winter decor and enhance autumn and winter performance. Do we know, do you already have a winter decor and autumn and winter performances? So this is enhancing it. So that's the presumption then, is that you already have something in place. And do we do this do we get this allocation on an annual basis, or is this a one-time?
Alderman High, Gabriel Godwin, Deputy Commissioner, DCASE. So this is an enhancement. We do have some money budgeted for winter programming, specifically around our tree lighting program. The Millennium Park Foundation, this is a one-time grant. Their idea is to enhance the offerings that we have, especially as we go into shoulder season and the winter season when the number of people in the park goes down. We're trying to keep the number of visitors actively engaged in the park, and this is just one of the ways we're doing it.
Okay. How much do you already have allocated?
We have just under $200,000 allocated towards this effort, so this is going to really enhance what we can do coming up.
And I agree. I mean, we want to sort of grow tourism, but if we already have something allocated, I'd love to spend $350,000 on a hotel for 175 beds in the winter. Okay. And the next, I guess we'll stick with you, Gabriel, on cultural affairs. The $1.2 million for shuttered venues. What exactly is that doing?
So Alderman, thank you for the question. The Shuttered Venues program is federal money that's available through the Small Business Association. It was a direct result of lobbying of some of our congressmen and the civil organization. It was primarily to help rescue a number of our music venues that were closed because of the pandemic. There were other organizations that were able to qualify, including ours as a museum throughout the city. And again, there are numerous organizations across the city that were able to qualify. Again, this is not able to be re-granted. We have to spend the money to essentially replace lost revenue. And then we're doing so by trying to enhance our exhibits and make investments in our Claudia Cassidy Theater, which is in need of some upgrades.
So we're not re-granting to music venues, or we are?
Sir, so the primary recipients of this grant are actually music venues, but others qualified, including DCASE. We are unable to re-grant the money, so the money has to stay on property. And so again, we're using it to help draw visitors back in by investing in enhancements to our exhibits and to some of our underlying infrastructure, including our Claudia Cassidy Theater.
Okay, so the music venues got a separate allocation from this similar. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now moving to Department of Public Health. A question on this 900 for our newborns. Question is there already a program in place? And so are we currently spending that this 975 gets added to? I don't know who's here, Chair from CDPH.
This is an existing program, I believe, Alderman Thompson. Latoya, do we have anyone here from Public Health?
Yes, Ayanna Thomas, but this is an existing program.
This is an existing program. We were funded for this.
Okay, I'm sorry. How much is the existing, good morning. How much is the existing program?
The existing program expired. This is continuation funding. So that dollar amount expired June 30th of this year. And this will begin July 1 of this year.
So on an annual basis, we normally get the 975
yes.
fund. And is that the sole source of funding for the program?
As of right now, yes. We have some supplemental funds through another grant source, also through the state of Illinois, through our maternal child health program.
Okay. And so the positions, those 6 nursing positions and 1 case manager, there are already existing city employees. This funding will just allow them to remain. Okay. Okay. That's all I had, Chair. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Responsiveness.
Thank you very much, Alderman Thompson. Alderman Curtis, followed by Alderman Hairston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This question is probably on behalf of Alderman Thompson, and I know it's been near and dear to him for probably the last 4 or 5 years. The funding that will be used for communication for CPD and OEMC, will any of those funds be used to buy new radios with an encryption where no one could access the frequencies? Maybe like for by phone or a scanner.
You broke up a little bit towards the end, Alderman Curtis. But
Right.
I think your question was radios with encryptions and.
Yeah, to eliminate scanners and phones and things like that.
Okay.
We have Natalie Gutierrez from our Office of Public Safety Administration. Who can respond to that?
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Alderman Curtis. Thanks for the question. This is Natalie Gutierrez, Deputy Director of Public Safety Grants and Contracts at the Office of Public Safety Administration. So to your question,
Ms. Gutierrez, can you turn your video on, please?
Sure can. Hold tight. Hope you guys can hear me. Apologies for my location, taking the kiddo to the doctor. So out of the $41 million that you see in the Urban Area Security Initiative grant, the project that you're speaking of, the radio encryption, is a substantial portion of that. We have now invested several years of this UASI funding towards that effort. So yes, absolutely. Out of this 41 you see, and specifically in the Public Safety Administration portion, the $18 million, radios is, I think, upwards of 6 million or 7 million of that off the top of my head. And that has been the investment in this UASI grant, which is recurring annually. So yes, this is towards that effort, and multiple UASI grant years have gone towards that, and to continue the encryption effort for all of the public safety radios.
Great, thanks. That was it for me, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gutierrez and Alderman Curtis. Alderman Hairston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go back to something that Alderman Thompson talked about the music venues, the money for the music vendors, how many venues have been selected?
Alderman, hi, Gabriel Godwin. Sorry, chance to get off mute there. Yes, so collectively, $245.9 million went to City of Chicago awardees. And that total is, sorry, 1 second, let me scroll in the report here. I'm sorry, how many? Sorry, there are about 50 to 55 that were selected.
And how were those selected?
So the federal government had an open call. Again, this was something that was spearheaded by Civil. And so it was a pretty wide swath. It was arts organizations, museums, music venues, I think even some movie theaters qualify.
All right, and are any of them on the south side?
Yes, for sure.
So would that include the Promontory, the Smart Museum of Art, the Oriental Institute? Can you provide through the chair a list of those venues that are part of this program?
Alderman, yes, we have provided a list. They're currently broken down by zip code, which is how the federal government was able to provide it to us.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Hairston. Mr. Goodwin, to clarify, the list that we have sent to the committee, the Shuttered Venue Awards, which totals 245 million plus, includes those 55 music venues?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so Alderman Hairston, you have that list. It's broken up by zip code.
Okay, I'll check that. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, a point of clarification, please.
Yes, Alderman Thompson.
To clarify though, we, the city, didn't select these. These were selected at the federal level. Is that correct, Mr. Godwin?
Alderman, yes, thank you for the question. Yes, the city had no selection criteria. It was actually the federal government that did the choosing, correct?
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought I heard. Thank you.
So, Mr. Goodwin, to clarify another question, did the city have an opportunity to weigh in on whether or not these venues were actual venues?
Alderman, the answer is no. The entire selection process was entirely done by the federal government.
All right, thank you. Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I love to see money going towards social services, the arts, and supporting the development of our community. So this is a beautiful hearing to witness. Thank you so much for all the work that has been put into this. I am here to speak on behalf of NRC, the North River Commission, which is going to be receiving a grant as well. I just want to speak to how necessary their work has been in our community, particularly in the wake of the pandemic. They have been supporting businesses, focusing particularly in Latino owned business with owners that speak Spanish. They have been helping people open their businesses from zero to applying for licenses. They have opened over 8 businesses since the pandemic started, or helped open businesses in the community, making our community more vibrant. So I am incredibly grateful for the work that NRC has been doing, and I am really excited for what they will be able to do in our community. That is a majority Latino community with the money from this grant. So thank you so much for that opportunity for my community. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez. Let's see, do we have any other questions here? No, I just also want to lift up QCDC, which does economic development work in both the 3rd and the 4th ward. They have a lot of capacity. They do great work, and I'm glad to see them being supported through this grant as well. Is there a motion to recommend approval of item number 9, the substitute ordinance on the agenda by the affirmative vote of all the
So
members
moved.
present for the roll call? So moved
Thompson.
by Alderman Thompson. Any objections? Hearing no objections, so ordered. The due pass recommendation will be reported out at the next city council meeting on September 14th. There being no further business before the committee, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved by Alderman Austin.
Alderman Austin so moves. Hearing no objection, so ordered. The Committee on Budget and Government Operations is thereby adjourned. Have a great afternoon, everybody.